Hi, we're the Brights coming to you live from our studio.
I love saying that.
I do too.
Our home studio.
I do too. I love saying it. Although this week our daughter's home from Greenville, South Carolina, so this used to be her room, and now I'm going to fix that just a little bit right there. So it used to be her room, and so now it's half her room.
If you panned it out, you'd see all of her stuff right here.
Everywhere,
so,
like all of her stuff. So it's not our studio.
We just pushed it into the closet and closed the door.
So it has a couch that folds out to a bed. So all of her stuff's everywhere, and it's like, oh, it reminds us of what it was like before we became empty nesters. How long ago was that? March?
Yeah.
April, May,
6
June,
months.
July, August, September, October. 8 months ago.
8
months ago, our youngest left home. So
but it was
exciting.
a surprise. Sherry brought her home, and I didn't know about it. So we met at the Home Depot, and Sherry was like, I got your Christmas present. I got a surprise. I got to meet you now. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And she was more excited about it than I was because I didn't know what it was.
Well, I was going to say.
So I'm sitting there, and she's talking to me. She's looking me in the face. And then
I made him turn.
Right. So
Hannah had just flown in, and then so she's hiding down in the car.
Yeah.
And then I made Richard turn, and I just said, "Okay, I have a present for you. It's an early Christmas present." And it was hard pulling it off because he was supposed to go hunting for a couple of days, and then I had to call his friend and say, "You got to cancel on him because I don't want him to go." And then he was all bummed about that, but then he was all happy when he found out it was Hannah. So.
Right. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking at Sherry, and so she had Hannah sneak in behind me, and then she goes, "Turn around." And so I turned around, and my daughter was standing there, just like, it was just like a shock, and it was awesome. It was a great surprise.
So great. So she's here till December the 3rd. So she got to go to...
She's our sanguine, so she's not been hanging...
She's
been
hanging
with us. Yeah, and then she's gone.
Yeah, it could be 11 or 12 o'clock at night, and then she takes off and goes with her friends still. And then she comes with us, so it's been good.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to hop on here. It's almost Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's coming up in a few days, and, you know, the holidays are such a fun time to look forward to. You start hearing all the Christmas music and thinking about shopping and cooking and all the fun stuff, and then the reality of the holidays hits you.
The stress
part of it.
It's stress giving.
And that's a good thing. You ought to coin that one.
Happy stress giving.
And I think it's much harder too when you have a blended family. Well, we know for sure it's harder when you have a blended family. But we just wanted to kind of first talk to you guys a little bit about our Thanksgiving and Christmas, of how it was growing up for us, just to give you a little background, and then we want to talk a little bit about how it was with our kids when they were little and trying to blend the families and all that. So when I was growing up, I grew up in Houston. When I was growing up, I had there was 4 girls in our family. I had 2 older siblings that were much older, like 20 and 21 years older than me. And my oldest sister had a daughter already, but the 4 daughters lived at home. So my parents were all about the holidays with the girls, all about Christmas. It was a really big deal for my mom. Like she was a shopaholic, a chargeaholic.
All out, right?
She went all out. And it was sometimes not even stuff really we wanted, but she just loved to shop. And so she would shop all year for us. And each girl had her own colored wrapping paper. Like whatever that roll was, you got the same wrapping paper. So there was so much. It was so stacked up because it wasn't because we had a lot.
Talking about that is stressing me out.
Well, it wasn't because we had all this money, although we thought as kids that, well, we have all this money. It was actually because she charged a lot of stuff. So it's a whole nother video about money. So that's how...
into our financial peace video.
So Richard and I like to talk about it because we have differences in our backgrounds about how we saw the holidays and this plays... There's a reason to tell you this because it really does play into most people that we meet, most couples have totally different backgrounds, and maybe you didn't even talk about it, and you just get married and you think, well, this is how we do things, and this is how we...
And you talk to you like, I can't wait till Christmas. I can't
wait.
I know, it's going to be so much fun because you're thinking about your Christmas and all your Christmas traditions, and your spouse is thinking about their Christmas and how much fun it is. And neither one of you talking about what's going to happen.
About what reality.
What's going to happen at Christmas for you guys now that y'all are married.
Right. And so I grew up, like I said, with my mom, my dad. It was a big deal when I knew when I got married that my husband was coming to my parents' house because that's what we did. I didn't even know that people traded holiday, like swapped holidays when they got married. Like that was foreign. No one had ever told me any of that. So I just thought, oh, just so you know, when we get married, we're going to my parents' house. Like that was just the rule. And every year when I was married to my daughter's dad, that's what we did. We went to my parents' house. Well, then when I got married the second time,
you couldn't even object.
No, I couldn't object. No, there was no objection. It was overruled. So then when I got married the second time, same thing. Well, his family lived in Alabama. It was easy. We just went to my family's. We never even thought about making our own traditions. So both of them just kind of went with it. Well, then I met Richard, and Richard was a lot more pushback than the others. And so he had a whole idea of how he thought it should be. And I was like, we're going to have this, and the kids are going to wake up, and all the things, and Santa's going to come, and it's just going to be all this great stuff. And
we're like, yeah. But, once again, we weren't talking about specifics. We weren't talking about time. We weren't talking about afterwards or before or when or
what we were
how,
going to wear.
Or, yeah. And I'm
so my family's house, so when I met Richard, I had a daughter. My daughter was 17 years old, almost 18, and she was about to go to college. Richard had a 5 and a 7-year-old. So I thought, well,
Tara's
we're bringing
watching right now.
Hey, Tara. So we thought, well, we're bringing them over to our house, and this is how we do it. We get really dressed up, and so because we got to take pictures, and it's got to look good. And there wasn't even social media back then, but I was like, okay, it was just starting, and we're gonna get all dressed up, and the kids have to come, and then everybody takes their presents, and then one by one, after we eat like brunch or have a food, then one by one, and we're all uncomfortable in these Sunday clothes. We're gonna open presents one by one, and each person is gonna wait for the other person to open it up and see what they got, and then we're gonna be like, yay! And then my daughter Tara opens really slowly, so she have to open each paper.
She still does,
make sure.
Tara.
Yes, she does.
You still do. Just rip it open.
So there was no ripping it open, and you have to wait. You can't just rip through them. So his kids are coming in, they're like gonna rip through everything, and that's just not how it was. And so we ended up the first Christmas having a huge fight. Trying to bring him to my parents' house, and that was after they had already gone to I don't know. It was
Chris,
I don't even remember.
I wish we had tofurkey. Man, when I grew up, we had topaz squirrel.
Gross.
It was turkey, possum, and squirrel.
Billy's, hellbillies, and but so we so
okay. So Christmas night, right?
So wait, so I was trying to say is that so we were trying to do all these things. And then that wasn't even counting what we wanted to do at our house. Like I wanted the kids to wake up and it to be Santa and Barbie's houses, and just like it was when I was a kid. And Richard, the first year we weren't even married yet, and the kids were coming over for Christmas. They lived with their mom then, and I was like, hey, we're gonna have all these things, and we're gonna open up the next morning. And Richard was like, well, that was back in our party days, so he was like drinking, and he was like, we're gonna open them up tonight. Remember?
Mm-mm.
You wanted to open up let the kids open all their presents.
Well, when she says tonight, it sounds like at 9 o'clock in the evening, and that's not what we did. In our family, we woke up whoever woke up like at 2 or 3 after Santa had come. We would wake up at 2 or 3, 4, whoever got up the earliest, and it was usually me because I was the oldest. And then I'd go look at everything. I had to go check everything out to see what everybody got. Then I'd go wake up my brother and sister, bring them in, and Christmas started. And it would be 2 or 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And then when that was over, I would get a rifle, like a 22 or a 243 or something. And then my dad always had a place for us to go shooting. And he said he would take us hunting, but I don't know if we ever really, never really shot anything. But he would just, it was more like poaching, I'm like, Dad, are you sure it's okay for us to crawl over this fence? Yeah.
Go on these people's land.
And I'm like, but you can see the school from here. No, I'm kidding. We were that close to the city, but we would do that. And so when I remember our first Christmas, I'm loading up all of my camo stuff and I'm getting it all together because my buddy has a place that we go. And Sherry finally just goes, what are you doing? And I said, man, I'm getting ready for hunting tomorrow. For Christmas. Yeah. And she goes, what? Whoa. She goes, what type of redneck, what?
Yeah, that's not how Christmas looks.
And she goes, no. So this was, I guess, about 8 o'clock at night. So now we're starting to have a discussion of how Christmas was more of a fight. Yeah, heated fellowship.
Yeah.
Intense fellowship. So, anyways, we were just fighting about that.
And so anyway, we had a big argument that night, and so we had to get the next day to go to my mom's with the kids all dressed up. Everybody's mad because they think they're going to do one thing. He's mad because we hadn't discussed it, and he's already mad at me because for 2 months before that, I overspent way more than we should have ever spent for Christmas because we didn't talk about that either. And then Thanksgiving, I think we just kind of went to your family, my family. The kids were little, and they were going to, and so when the kids were little, his kids were little, they would go to their mom's house, the grandma's house. They had Richard's mom lived here, my mom. We were trying to make everybody happy, like trying to go to everyone's house.
Chris says, settle an argument. Is it silver stuff, tinsel, or garland? Chris, to me, it's silver stuff. It's silver spaghetti. All right.
Yeah. So Richard was mad anyway. So then they went to our house, and then you had to open presents slowly and all that stuff. And then I think the next Christmas, and so we tried the first couple of Christmases to make everybody happy, do things exactly the way the tradition was with our families. And no one had ever even spoke to us about, y'all can make your own new traditions. Y'all are married. Y'all don't have to do what your parents say anymore. Like, we were grown, but we just thought we had to do what had always happened, and so we ended up fighting. Well, and like I said, my Christmas to me was like Santa. You went to the mall. It was like peppermint on his breath. I mean, it was like ask for big wheels and Barbies, and Richard had
Pancho Claus. All right, you couldn't sit on his lap because he was on parole, and his breath smelled like tequila. And he brought fruit and coins, and you couldn't even. It wasn't even American coins; it was Mexican coins.
and
yeah, and it's all my cousins, and oh my gosh, it was brutal. Pancho Claus. He looked like Cheech from Cheech and Chong. But
that's all your cousins came over.
Yeah, all my cousins.
Yeah, so it was just different. We just didn't have and then we had, like I said, the blended stuff. So that's where the real rub came in, was trying to do stuff with the kids, making everybody happy. And of course, we were mad at the exes at that point because we weren't having some big, amicable, how do you say it? Divorce. Everything was hard, and so we were going through. We hadn't even really gotten all the rules as far as what holidays looked like and what custody looked like, and. But we were determined we were going to have fun. These kids were going to have fun no matter what. And it was really more what we wanted. We weren't really looking at what the best interests of the kids were. We just wanted it to be this perfect thing.
It's Christmas, and we're going to have a joyous time, and it's going to be fun, no matter what.
Kind of like the guy on vacation, when he goes to Wally World or whatever. He's like, we're going to have fun no matter what. And so the kids were miserable, and they would go to their mom's house. And so then when custody came along, we got custody. We didn't get them until 6 p.m. on Christmas Day, which was like, wah, wah, wah. Like for us, we didn't even have Christmas. Remember, we didn't even have every other Christmas. The first couple ones, she had Christmas. So we got them at 6 o'clock. Well, we're waiting all day for them because it's like, we're going to have all these presents and we're going to do all this stuff. They've already been pulled everywhere.
They're Santed out.
They're tired.
They're exhausted.
Yeah, and
bad mood, angry because they were all playing and they had to leave what they were doing to come to our house. And so Sherry goes, "Hey, you know what? Let's just do Christmas on the 26th." Mm-hmm. And I thought, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. We're not doing Christmas. Is on the 25th. It's the day Jesus was born. And I'm going through all this.
And if you don't do it that day, it's not Christmas.
And then she goes, "But it's just a day." And I'm like, yeah, and then I started to, first I got all angry, and then I started thinking about it, some time went by, like, I don't know, a couple hours or so, and then I said, you know what, why not? Why not do it the next day? Yeah. And so we started doing that, the following year.
And so we were really hung up on the 25th, but once we let that go, and that was part of this video, is to say, the holidays can be super stressful, but a lot of the stress comes with our own hang-ups and the things that we hold on to, the things that we're not willing to budge about. And if you have a blended family, I think even if you don't have a blended family, you still have a lot of stress, but a blended family adds double stress. And so don't get hung up. Just come up with some creative ways. I don't know what works for you because everybody's situation is different. But what happened was when we decided to stop worrying about the 25th, when we picked them up that evening, they were tired. They came home, they put their pajamas on, and we did Christmas Eve for us that night. So they got to do Santa, put the cookies out for Santa, put their jammies on. They were tired. They were waiting for Santa to come. And so the 26th, we woke up and they loved it. They got two Christmases. Right. And once we got over ourself and being mad at the exes and all the things that we were doing, the kids actually started to. We put them first, but we didn't.
Hey, Joni, man, I'm glad you're here. How you doing? Yeah. I talked to Richard last week.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So then we got custody. We got custody of the kids about 4 or 5 years into it. We had full custody of the kids, so we decided that we were going to make a new tradition for us, and that's when we took our kids to Disney World. We were going to go one time. Well, that year we said we were going to go that one year just to kind of take all the pressure of the divorce and everything off of them. Well, it ended up being a lot of fun, and now we've just been our tradition for.
And I thought about
years.
that too. She wanted to go to Disney World, and I had never been to Disney World, and I was all like, "Look, that's too much money. I've never been to Disney World, and look how I turned out." And she goes, "Exactly. We're going to Disney World." And it cost a pretty penny the first time we went, because I told her we'll go this one time and we're never going again. So Sherry went all out. So she wanted to make it special. If this was the only time we were going, she wanted to give us the Mickey treatment, And when we got there, it was so much fun, and we had such a blast. And the kids were so little, and they had so much fun. The first 3 or 4 times we went, they kind of had to stay around us, but as they got older, then they would take the bus, and they would go do their own thing, and
well, what we did
it just became fun.
It just became a tradition. And what we did was, instead of having presents, I mean, we'd have a couple little presents, but we would just have a Christmas became our trip. That was our trip instead of in lieu of presents. And the memories, and when you ask the kids now, their favorite part of growing up was vacation. Like, they just loved that part. It wasn't like we had so much money we could have Christmas and that. We just had to pick, but we did it. It was fun. She said, Joan said they're watching together while he is sorting lures. Richard was just sorting all his hunting stuff because he's going hunting tomorrow.
Sorting lures is very important. We have to do that. It all has to be in order.
So we came in with a lot of baggage into our marriage with the kids, and so the kids were the ones that we kind of got stuck in the middle of it, and we were just eat up with being right, with wanting to win. I mean, honest, this is just honest, transparent. Like, we were
a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, a lot of hurt.
Yep. And then the first couple of years that we didn't have them on Christmas Day or Thanksgiving Day, we were really sad. Like, it was so hard because we were so hung up on that particular day. Like, the next day we weren't going to be sad if they weren't there, but for some reason that day we were just like, what are we going to do? But we had to, I think after we did it one time and it was just miserable, and I just saw how hard it was for him, we decided to get a mindset and we were going to do something different. So in the few years after that we didn't have him on the actual day, we either went and had a really nice dinner for Thanksgiving or Christmas, or we went to some friend's house, or we volunteered to serve at some of the food pantries. I mean, we just did different, or we served Thanksgiving dinner. We had to do something different, and we had to get out of our own mind and not stay hung up with all that drama. We actually had to do something different, and not dwell on it. We had to get out of our own heads. It's just a day, y'all.
Hey, Chris says he paid cash for Christmas for 20 years.
Yes.
Man, that's the way to do it.
We do not.
Do not go in debt
We
over
try
Christmas.
to do it over the course of the year. I buy things. I hear what the kids say, little things, and pick things up. But I don't. We have never put Christmas on a credit card. Thank God. So we had to choose to be happy. Basically, is what I'm saying as far as the holidays.
What's funny now is, now that we're getting older, I mean, wiser.
Maybe.
But Sherry's all like, "You are, not me." We were talking to other parents, and I was talking to a friend of mine, and his brother, their children are now married. The 2 sons are married, and they're not coming for Thanksgiving to the mom's house, and the mom is freaking out now because this will be the first Thanksgiving her sons aren't going to be there, and they're not coming. It's not like, hey, we're going to come early on Wednesday. They're just not coming at all. They're doing completely different traditions, because now they're doing it as a family, as a married, and the mom is freaking out. And so we really haven't got to that point yet, because everybody's coming over for Thanksgiving.
But I think we've learned a lot of stuff. Like, going forward, like when we do have kids, we understand that they're going to have. There's another side. There's other family members. Like, they get married, they have a spouse. They're going to have other family to go do that. We want them to have their own traditions. And we've made our own friends as we're getting old. Now our kids are gone. We're an empty nester. So we have a group of friends that we do life with. We're not sitting around waiting for our kids to come and, entertain us or whatever. They're like, gosh, y'all have a better social life than we have. But we just had to choose to do that, because we don't want to be we don't want to be that parent. We don't want to be that parent that puts all that guilt on their kids. We screwed them up enough while they were younger. Like,
no doubt.
We want to. So there was something I was going to tell you about that though. About being, it's hard to be divorced, y'all. I mean, it's hard being married and having holidays, but being divorced and having holidays is super hard. So if you're even in a place in your marriage thinking that, this sucks, and it'd be so easy, much easier if I didn't. I'm going to tell you that divorce is way harder than being married. Marriage is tough, but being married. You're throwing me off. See, thank you. Looking gorgeous, #1 fan.
Okay, boomer. That's baby boomers.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Okay, millennials.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's supposed to be offensive, but I'm like, dude, rock whatever you can do.
Yeah,
man.
we're rocking it.
You know?
But we're having fun doing it. But we just, what was I just saying?
I don't know. Something about being hard being divorced.
Oh, it's hard being divorced, and it's not easier if you get rid of your spouse and you move on, because guess what happens is now you have double problems. Now you have an ex. If you didn't get along with your ex while you were married to him, try getting along with him being divorced from him. You know, it's tough.
It's tough.
And for a long time, we did not work together with our exes. We did not talk with them. It was a bunch of hot mess. But over the years, and so we're not telling you all this like, y'all go and do all this. It's so great. It took us years. It's been almost 17 years that we've been together. We were probably 14 or 15 years into it before we really started having peace about all of it. That's how horrible it was for so long. But some things that you can do differently is to be able to pray for your ex-spouse. You know, pray for them. The Bible says pray for your enemies. So if you feel like they're your enemy right now, pray for your spouses, your ex-spouses, because when we started to pray for them and we stopped thinking bad things about him and talking smack about him and having drama about him, that's when things started to have peace.
Yeah, things started to change.
Things started coming around. And now, over the last few years, my daughter's dad spends so many Christmases and holidays, but he's just like an uncle. You know, we forget that he's even our daughter's dad, but we get along very well with them. A couple years ago, we invited Richard's ex-wife and her new husband and their daughter to go to Disney World. They couldn't go with us, but you know what? We invited them, and it meant so much to even our kids were grown teenagers, but it meant so much to them to see us where they didn't have, because most of their life they had to choose
where they were going to stay.
Yeah, they had to choose loyalty.
Where they were going to hang. It sucks, man. You know, it just does.
So some things is just to, I was going to say this too, is, you know, whenever, I don't know how you guys are about holidays and stuff, but I had these grandiose ideas of how I thought it was going to be. And I was like, we're going to do crafts and we're going to make wreaths and everything's going to have matching pajamas and we're going to be, and then social media came along, which made it 10 times worse, because then you see everybody's highlight reel of how the holidays are, and every tree is perfect, and everybody's stuff is perfect, and
they've got all the tinsel and garland and silver stuff all over.
And it was really hard because I wanted it to be a certain way with these kids, and I could not understand why everybody was against me. But as we've been going through the years, I realized a lot of it was me trying to control all this stuff, and I had these big expectations that they didn't even know anything about, and everybody was disappointing me, and nobody even knew they were disappointing me.
Yeah.
But over the years, we've had to learn that, you know what, if we don't set ourselves up for that, don't get sucked down that rabbit hole. Like, we have to not set our, we don't have to have this big perfect family. We just have to have our family, and it needs just to be our love. It's all about love, y'all. It's all about love, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And stress-free.
And stress-free and drama-free, and forgive the people that, you know, I know you got to be around people maybe that you don't like.
You know, so I was watching Matthew. He was talking about his, you know, never had a Christmas morning, and, you know, this parent spent the money on drugs, and, you know, that's unfortunate. You know, that happens to people. You know, my dad was an alcoholic, so we were blessed to have a Christmas, you know, and I mean, it wasn't like, oh, we had everything. We didn't get the big wheel. You know, we had to go ride our friend's big wheel. We didn't get the bikes, you know.
His stuff was in layaway.
Our stuff was in layaway. We got little stuff, so, you know, but man, I believe that our parents did the best that they could. You know, they had their issues, and there was no place to get help back then. You know, they didn't have things like this, so they were just, and nobody talked about it, man. And we still have a society that people don't talk about the pains and the hurts from their childhood or from, you know, adulthood or whatever, and they're just holding it in, and they're fighting off addiction, and they're trying to become, they're starting to become their parents, you know. So, man, we've got a chance right now to make a difference, you know. So we just want to say, guys, you don't have to be like your parents, you know. Don't be, you know, especially if you came from a place of abandonment or hurt, man. Let's do something different, you know.
Yeah, and even though
Jason, what's up, man?
Hey,
from
Jason.
Tampa, we had so much fun when we were
from,
there.
Salem Church,
yes,
a year ago. So, but you know, guys, even when we sit there and I talk about like what Christmas looked like at our house as an adult, now looking back, it was a hot mess. It was. I thought, as my little kid brain was like, "Wow, this is the greatest Christmas ever." But everybody's always mad. People, as we got older, everybody's angry. The sisters are mad at each other. There was just drama. my mom mad because we didn't get there on time, or somebody didn't dress the right way, or we didn't.
I should have known something was up because Santa never had milk and cookies at my house. He always had cookies and tequila. And the tequila, I mean, we didn't put out a shot glass. We had to leave the whole bottle. And it'd be gone in the morning, And we were just like, man, look, we were all happy. Look, Santa drank the whole bottle, We're kids. What do we know, man?
That's pretty funny.
It was, the whole bottle of tequila was gone, man. And we're just like, man, Santa was partying here. This was great, man. I was telling the kids at school the following Monday, Santa came over to our house and he drank all the tequila, man.
We had such different upbringing, but you know what? They were both just as dysfunctional. Mine looked shinier was all, but they were just as dysfunctional. Actually, you probably had more love because your parents were just be free,
no, we were free range kids.
They were free range kids, not us. So make your own thing. Do a new thing. You can make your own traditions when you get married. You don't have to take the guilt from your parents, and that doesn't mean you gotta like turn on them and have attitude about it, but you just have to have boundaries, and it's different than ultimatums, but learn about boundaries and what that looks like to be able to, because sometimes you do have those parents that get pissed off, that don't want you to make your own way because they're sad in their own life, but we have to make our own traditions. We need to be able to talk about it as a couple and come to complete agreement of it. Plan the things. If you have a blended family, plan what that holiday looks like so the kids are aware of what is going to happen. I think our kids were so confused, and we didn't even think to include them. We were so busy making our own plans and just pulling them here and pulling them there, and they were just little. They were like 5 and 7, and then they grew up through that their whole childhood. But if you could maybe give them a schedule of what to expect, and don't try to make everybody happy, all the aunts and grandmas and meemaws and steps and all that stuff. Do what's best for your kids and what's best for your family. Lower your expectations if you have to, but you don't have to have this big high thing of how it all has to be so perfect.
A grandiose.
No, it's because you're
the
one
make it enjoyable. Don't make it stressful, because if you're stressed out, the kids are going to be stressed out. Everybody's going to be stressed out.
And it's all about Jesus. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about Jesus. We're making it all about all this other stuff, and we don't have enough money for this and presents, and everybody's stressed out. And I talked to a lady the other day, and here it is not even Thanksgiving yet. And I said, hey, are you ready for the holiday? She goes, I just wish it was December 26th, and it was all over with and everything, and I didn't have to do it. And I'm thinking, wow, like there was no joy. Like everything, she's already thinking it's the worst thing ever. So let's make it about what it's about.
So you have to think, what's happened in her life for her to be like that, because I look forward to the holidays, even though I had a jacked up childhood, right, for the most part. But you know what? As time went on, we made our holidays better, and we put God first. And when we did that, things started to change between us. And because things started to get better and stronger between us, things started to change with our kids and started to get better and stronger with our kids. So,
but they also are adults now, so they have their own life, and they're definitely not fitting into our mold of how we would like to do. Like if I had it my way, it'd be a certain way we would do Christmas, and everybody would come, and it'd be this and this, and I'd have all these things. But I've had to let that go over the years, and even now we still go to Disney World every year, but our kids only go occasionally. They're in their 20s and 30s. Sometimes they go with us. Sometimes we go. If we've gone every time, even without them, and we'll take other friends and go with them, and we're gonna make our own traditions and our own, and we're not going to put that pressure on the kids to do what we want. We have to have our own lives, and they need to have their own lives.
And we need to respect that.
Yes, and so it's all about love, y'all. It's all about Jesus. Don't be stressing about the holidays. I heard that word the other day. It was leverage, I guess. Leverage things out, or just what's the word?
Leverage.
When you help people, or you get other people to do stuff.
What does that have to do with
Thanksgiving? Yeah, because instead of you having to cook everything, get other people to do it. Go buy some stuff. Go get Chef Costco to cook it for you if you have to. Don't stress about it, is what I'm saying. Like, get other people.
Also, have your family bring
stuff, whatever it is, whatever works for you, but don't try to do it all yourself.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a good idea.
I've done it enough times, and I'm the one that ends up unhappy, and they're all happy. They're all having a great time, and I'm the one stressed about it. So. We love you guys. Thank y'all for watching our videos. We are putting them on YouTube, even though we don't really have a lot of YouTube subscribers. But if we could get 1,000 subscribers, like people would actually probably start watching them, and it would like draw stuff to them. But we have 188 subscribers. So if you guys could like The Real Brights on YouTube, y'all are watching
like one.
Well, they're watching it a lot on Facebook because last week there was 2,000 people watched our video about prayer. So we appreciate that so much. But we also want to drive some of that to YouTube because not everybody's on Facebook. But thank y'all for sharing. See, Misty said leverage. That was what Misty was talking about. Delegate was the word. Thank you, Misty. It's delegate. Don't try to do it all yourself. Like get people to help you. Thank you. See, it is leverage. You were looking at me like I was crazy. So it is leverage.
I mean, delegate sounds better than leverage. It's like leverage everybody. I'm like, what does that
everybody,
mean?
but all your life, like get people to run errands for you and do stuff. Don't try to do it all. So anyway, so like it, please share our videos, and we love hearing it. We'd love to come to your church in 2020. We're already filling up dates for 2020 for comedy date nights. Usually we'll do a comedy date night on a Friday night, and some churches we stay over for Saturday and do marriage conference, do some sessions. We'd love to be a part of whatever you guys have going for marriage for 2020. So just so you can contact us at The Real Brights.
That's it.
Yep. That's it.
So, everybody have a happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, we won't be on here next Sunday because he's going to be hunting, and unless I just decide to do it by myself. But other than that, we're going to be.
So have grace and mercy, and
yes,
deuce.
Forgive and out.
Deuces.
Yes, bold.